Hi, my name is William Austin, and welcome to the Morning Report. There's a lie on American roads, one that has quietly taken root in the minds of millions of drivers, reinforced by culture, ego, and a dangerous misunderstanding of what it means to be good behind the wheel of a car. The lie is simple. If you can drive fast, you must be a good driver. Sounds harmless, sounds confident, it even sounds experienced, but it's not true. And if Florida, my state, moves towards forward with raising highway speed limits to 80 miles an hour, that false belief won't stay just in conversations. It will play out in real time on real highways with real consequences. Because when you combine higher legal speeds with human overconfidence, you just don't get faster travel. You get less margin for error. And less margin for error leads to one thing: more death, more destruction, and more mayhem. Okay, now because driving fast has always been associated with control, confidence, and even masculinity. From Hollywood car chases to high performance advertising, speed is sold as mastery. But there is a critical distinction most people never stop to consider. Speed is not control, speed is not awareness, and speed is not judgment. Speed is simply velocity, and velocity by itself is not a skill, it's a condition. A driver doing 90 miles an hour on a clear highway may feel in control. The car may feel stable, the road may seem predictable. But what the driver is really experiencing is a temporary absence of problems, not proof of ability. Still, our skill is not measured when everything is going right. Skill is measured in how you respond when something goes wrong. Now, here's something that you have to understand. You understand that the physics doesn't care about your confidence. The laws of physics do not negotiate with confidence, experience, or intention. At 70 miles an hour, your vehicle is already traveling over 100 feet per second. At 70 miles an hour, your vehicle is already traveling at 100 feet per second. At 80 miles an hour, that number jumps significantly. That difference might not feel dramatic behind the wheel, but in the real world, where the rest of us live, that difference is between stopping time or hitting something at full force. It is a difference between a near miss and a fatal collision. And perhaps more importantly, the energy involved in a crash increases exponentially with speed. That means when something goes wrong at a higher speeds, it doesn't just go wrong, it goes wrong violently. A mistake that might result in a damaged bumper at a lower speed becomes a life-threatening event at higher ones. This is why safety experts consistently emphasize that speed doesn't just increase the likelihood of crashes, it increases their severity. Now, this is always part of the deal. There's a psychological layer to this issue that makes it even more dangerous because many drivers believe that they're above average. Have you seen them? In fact, studies have reportedly shown that a majority of drivers rate themselves as better than most drivers on the road. Okay, that's statistically impossible, but it's psychologically common. And that overconfidence becomes especially dangerous when paired with higher speed limits. Why? Because when the law says 80 miles an hour is acceptable, many drivers because y'all all do, interpret that as a validation of their ability, not just permission to go faster. And once that belief takes hold, the behavior shifts. 80 becomes 85. they're not gonna stop me for 5 over, right? And then that 85 becomes 90, and then 90 becomes normal. The entire system always calibrates upward. And with that, the risks escalate. Florida, where I live, it's not an empty stretch of highway in the middle of nowhere. It is one of the most complex driving environments in the country. Consider what you already know if you live here: a large population of elderly drivers, a constant flow of tourists who are unfamiliar with roads, people who come here and they don't know where the hell they're going, right? A mix of driving styles from across the country and across the world. Everybody lives here. Everybody freaking lives here. So you have people who drove most of their life in New York or Philadelphia or Atlanta or Los Angeles, and you have that combined with people who drove in rural areas of Ohio or Michigan. And the four of us who've only driven here. Heavy congestion in the urban corridors: Tampa, Jacksonville, Miami. And sudden weather changes, including rainstorms that reduce visibility and traction. We know that in the summertime on a Tuesday, it feels like the world's coming to an end. I would always hear from people who are new here going, "Is there a hurricane?" And I would go, "No, it's just Tuesday. It'll be over in 15 minutes." Now, add higher speeds to that environment. So what happens when a tourist hesitates at 80 miles an hour traffic speeds, or an older driver misjudges the distance at those speeds? A sudden lane change happens in a packed corridor. Now, the answer is not theoretical. It is predictable. The faster the system moves, the less forgiving it becomes. Reaction time. Most drivers never think about reaction time, but it's one of the most critical factors in road safety. The average driver takes about 1.5 to 2 seconds to recognize a hazard and begin to react. Remember, I said that at 70, you're going 100 feet per second. If it takes you 2 seconds to figure out what the hell is going on, you've traveled 200 feet before. 200 feet. You have traveled 2/3 of a football field before you begin to know what to do. At higher speeds, those seconds translate into significant distance. That means by the time you even begin to react, you've already traveled far enough to make avoidance far more difficult. And that's before braking distance is even considered, because you can't just stop your car like a cartoon. And that's where the illusion of skill collapses. Because no matter how confident the driver feels, they cannot react faster than a human being allows. And biology does not scale with speed. And this whole idea is, I've never had an accident. I'll go, but how many have you caused? One of the most common defenses of fast driving is this: I've been driving like this for years and never had a problem. But that argument misunderstands the risk entirely. Risk is not measured by what has happened. It is measured by what could happen. A driver can go for years without an incident because they are exceptionally skilled, but not because they're exceptionally skilled, but because they haven't encountered the wrong situation at the wrong time, at the wrong speed. When that moment finally arrives, past success offers absolutely no protection. Only physics and reaction time remains. And at high speeds, both are unforgiving. Supporters of higher speeds often argue that stronger enforcement will control reckless behavior. I'm not okay. But enforcement has limits. Law enforcement can't be everywhere. Have you noticed that? And more importantly, enforcement does not change human psychology. Once a higher speed becomes normalized, behavior adjusts accordingly, whether it is whether or not a patrol car is present. Drivers don't recalibrate based on enforcement, unfortunately. They recalibrate based on what feels normal. And if 80 miles an hour becomes normal, then the ceiling moves higher. Like I said before, 85 is normal, then 90 is normal. So I like to talk about what things actually look like. So, what does a good driver look like? If speed is not skill, then what is it? A truly skilled driver demonstrates the following: anticipation, seeing problems before they happen, being able to look out that big window that's in the front of your car, glance up at that little mirror and the mirrors on the side, and anticipate problems before they happen. Watch what's happening. If is there a car coming out of an intersection or whatever's happening? Is there a truck up there with a trailer that's swinging, that's fishtailing? Anticipate the problem before it happens. The second thing is discipline, maintaining safe speeds even when the road is open, even when you know what, you could go 150 because you can't even see anybody in front of you. You can't even see anybody behind you. It's dry. The sun is out. It's discipline is no, I'm just not going to. And consistency, making good decisions on a repeated basis, not occasionally. But what happens if you make good decisions all the time and maintain that consistency, you practice making good decisions. So it becomes easier and easier. Control, manage the vehicle smoothly under all conditions, no matter what. And what I think is most important is humility. Understand that nobody is immune to error. Everybody, including you, especially you, can make a mistake. Okay. Did you notice what I didn't say? Speed. Speed doesn't have anything to do with being a good driver. It only makes your mistakes happen quicker. And here's a trade-off that nobody wants to admit, because at the heart of this issue is a simple trade-off: faster travel times in exchange for increased risk. Some will argue modern vehicles are safer now than ever, and that's true. But safer vehicles still do not eliminate physics. They only mitigate some of the consequences. And even the best safety systems cannot overcome reduced reaction time, increased stopping distance, higher impact forces. Technology can help, but it can't save everybody. And this is not ultimately a question about policy. This is a question about values. What matters more, really? What matters more? Getting somewhere faster or getting somewhere safely? I've often said that my prime directive when I leave here for my house is getting home safely and not damaging my vehicle or anybody else's vehicle or person. Traveling to my destination, getting there safely, doing what I have to do, and traveling back to my home safely. That's it. Not getting there fast, get home safely, get home alive. And when I think about it, I really wonder if people understand how fragile life is. Myself and you guys who follow and watch me know that in 2014, I had triple bypass surgery, and I was pretty close to dying. As a matter of fact, that I did go code blue on that Tuesday morning, and when you see your own mortality in that way, and you know how fragile things are, and you experience the loss that my wife and I have experienced um, with a lot of our friends and some of our family here in the last couple of years. One of the things that my wife tells me when I leave for work every day is drive safely, be careful. She says, be careful, and I do. She shouldn't say, hurry to work, get there faster. She shouldn't say, why are you leaving so early? She says, be careful. So that's what it's really about. It's not getting there faster. It's getting there. It's getting there at all. Getting there safely. And if you think about it like that, it shifts the balance entirely. It increases efficiency, but it also increases. Well, it could increase efficiency, but it also increases exposure to risk. And the risk does not fall evenly. It affects families, communities, new drivers, older drivers. Everyone is sharing the road. Do you really want that 17-year-old who just got their license? Do you really want them out there driving 80 miles an hour? They learn to drive in their neighborhood at 30 miles an hour. They learn to drive on a driver's ed range. Do you really want them out there driving 80, 85 miles an hour on the interstate next to you and your family? Do you? Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking that this wasn't thought through. All right, let me land this plane here. The most dangerous driver on the road is not always the one, excuse me, is not always the one who is reckless. It is often the one who is confident, so confident to believe that speeds prove skill. Because once someone believes that, they stop respecting the limits that keep them and all the rest of us safe. And that's where the real danger begins. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to start a new YouTube channel. And I start the filming today. Today is Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. And what we're going to do is you're going to follow me to work. And I hope to give you some real, this is what you need to look for when you're driving. If you have a youngster, you can have them watch the videos. If you're a little older like me, a little gray beard like me, maybe I can, give you some hints on what to look for and how to look for them. And things that I consider anyway on my drives to work. I have two paths. One, I do take the interstate or freeway, like y'all call it some places, and then I do take a route that is surface streets. So we have a combination. So to give you an idea of what driving is like in Florida, we have the interstate. Sometimes it's free and clear, and sometimes it's stacked, and you never know which. And it doesn't matter if it's the weekend or the middle of the day, or it doesn't matter. Rush hour is any hour and every hour. And normally the surface streets are not, but they present a whole bunch of other considerations. So subscribe to this channel here to get updates about the new channel. Until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye bye now.